Good morning. Today is Sunday, May 11th, 2025. And this is the weekly Bitcoin price forecast looking at where Bitcoin went in the last week and where it could potentially go in the future. So look at May. We've had a great month and we're not even mid-month yet. So it's the 11th right now. And so we're about a third of the way through the month. And it has really since April. You hit that low here after the tariffs and everything. I think that was early April, but literally since early April, Bitcoin has shot up about $25,000. $25,000 roughly. Let's see where we're at. 29. So $30,000 from top to bottom because it did hit about 105 this week. So that's really good. That's really good to see. I think we're back. I think we're really back, and we're at the point where we're about to start seeing things go vertical. We're it's good. I mean, you look at the closes here. So we see these two black candles, signifying the upward direction, and then now we're at the point where we're above already the almost previous all time high. The previous all time high was not 109 roughly, about 109,000 dollars. So it's good. Seeing that you broke this area is significant. That is significant, and we'll look down on the weekly chart, but I just expect this trend to continue. You might hit some resistance up here as we'll talk about, but overall, it looks fantastic. It looks really good. So, not too much else to talk about on the monthly chart. I mean, we see now that we've broken above here, but yeah, it's kind of it. You see this kind of swoop pattern, which is almost parabolic. You see another one here, and then you have kind of like your macro parabola here. So yeah, no, it's definitely a good thing to see. And even on the weekly chart, I think we're above. We're right at the highest close. We're right at the highest weekly close. So we had a very good week this week. Didn't really do much of anything the previous week, and then actually it's been doing this pattern. So great week, kind of stagnant week. Great week, kind of stagnant week. Great week, and then I don't know, maybe we'll have a stagnant week here, some type of pullback. Who knows? But right now, I do know that we're breaking kind of like this. The highest month weekly close that we've had was 104, and we're sitting there right now. So we could potentially, by the end of today, be able to break that highest weekly close, and we'll see how that goes. So nothing but good things ahead. I've been saying that for a while. Like even when we were down here, I was still excited because I knew what we had ahead. Um, Once I saw that we got down to this 50-week moving average and we couldn't do anything with it, that just gave me all the confidence in the world to say, all right, well, we're going back up. It may not be immediate. We may see some pain here. That's fine. Nothing is a free ride. And then we'll just move on to the upside. So again, like I said, very very good here. We're in a much better place than we were in 2024. So you see all this ranging. I mean, it did nothing here for 8 months. Like this was brutal. This was absolutely brutal, but we stuck with it. So great time to accumulate here, and then into this run up here, and then it's just good. This is a really good look. Let's turn on the drawings. So we see we're kind of in this zone of the all-time high. So all the way from here, you see all these wicks. So you'll face probably some resistance around 108, 109. And actually, now that I'm looking at it, this is my favorite line on the chart. I have one line, well, I have several lines on the chart, but this is my favorite line on the chart. It's kind of, I call it like the escape velocity line almost. So you have this run that goes all the way up here from here. And it really marks the top. So I'm just taking what the tops of the different Bitcoin previous cycles have been. So you have 1, 2, 3. And now we kind of broke that a little bit. And now we're trying to, we couldn't quite get above it the first time, but also you were at the top of this channel. I think we'll really slice through it this time. That's what it's looking like. And then we'll probably face some resistance around 125, somewhere in here. Somewhere in here we'll face some resistance. So you'll chop here for a little bit, probably some resistance here, and then maybe a small pullback to 107 before going just ballistic. So once you see a tap here, or even if it goes above here, 125, it comes back, taps here, maybe 120, it may not even come back down to 107, but it could, come up, tap 120, and then continue going. But we'll see. That's, we got to break a couple of areas first. We got to break this escape velocity line, like I said. That's my term. That's not any type of technical term, but that's what I call it. You have to break the kind of all-time high zone where you had this cluster of, you had somewhat of a cluster of like wicks that tried to break this area but couldn't. So you have to attempt that one more time. And then finally this channel. So like we've had this channel in place since really the end of 2023, and it's just been up, down, up, down, up. And you see now some of these were like kind of gradual builds up, kind of a gradual run up, but this is pretty much vertical. So that's good to see. We should see some crazy price action pretty soon, especially as Bitcoin gets more and more scarce. A couple of the lines I have on here. So the short-term holder realized price. So this is the price that of all Bitcoin that has been moved in the last 155 days. That average price, the last 155 days. Long-term holder is the opposite of this. So anything above, any Bitcoin movement above 155 days of holding, that goes into the long-term holder bucket. And you see that's much slower. Right now, that's just reaching about 30,000. And that'll continue to go up over time. And, realized price is kind of like the difference between the two. It's just like the aggregate of everything. They don't take into account 155 days or any type of time period. It's just like, this is the price that all the Bitcoin has moved at on average, or that it's been taking profit at. So, again, good to see. This is slowly creeping up. Long-term holders slowly creeping up. I actually just updated these this morning and they have all moved up. So I think that's really it for the weekly chart. Daily chart, you just had some monstrous days here. So again, we said we reached this low a little bit after the tariff. So you had 75,000. Then I can't even say it really ranged. So it went down here and then just absolutely shot up. Ranged a little bit here once it got back to this median level, but then it just kept going. It didn't even stop at the bull flag. So this is something that's been this has been in place since really we'll call it the end of last year, and it just absolutely ripped through it. So this one's gone. Like I said, you'll probably face some resistance here, but we'll see. That's all I can say is we'll see. And then probably the next point will be right here, because at this point, once you get past this all-time high, there's nothing above it besides this, and then you're just in rarefied air to where every day is now you have to take Bitcoin in its own merit. You can't look at anything historically. You're just it's really just up, with obviously pullbacks in between as price naturally does and people buy and sell, but overall the direction you remove a lot of resistance in that area. So I don't really need to go down to the 4-hour chart. So you had a zone here. Another little zone here, which makes sense, Thursday, Friday, whatever. A lot of people probably taking profits around the all-time high. But other than that, you have this range here. So that's pretty much it. So let's see what we got here. Last week, you had, the big thing was the federal funds rate. So you, in economic news, you had 4.5%. That has been held now for 1, 2, 3, 4 different decisions. Let me see how many did we hold at last time? So when we held rates in July of 2023, from July of 2023 all the way to July of 2024, so a year, we held at 5.5% roughly, and then we dropped off. So if we're in December, they're gonna cut before 6 months. This is a long holding period. Actually, it's probably one of the longest holding periods outside of when we had 0% interest rates for a while. I expect a cut in the near future. Whatever the next decision is, I want to say June 6th or 4th, somewhere in there. We'll take a look at that, but I do expect some type of cut. So let's take a look. Yeah, that was FOMC, federal funds rate. The other one that we have, the only real important one that we have this week is inflation, CPI. So CPI, that is your measure of inflation. Right now, inflation's been kind of, on somewhat of a downtrend. We see it goes up, down, up, and then it's on a downward move. So I expect to see inflation somewhere around probably 2% over the next month or two. So we're at 2.4 right now. Maybe we'll go a little bit lower than that. Who knows? But we'll see. So 2.1, 2.2, that's not outside the realm of possibility at all. I have been seeing things across the board come down in terms of prices, but that's really it. So that's really all the economic news this week. No, nothing else major for a while. We'll look at next week. We'll go from there. So again, I like to look at different charts just in the price chart. So this is Bitcoin Magazine Pro. And this particular chart is Bitcoin spent output profit ratio. Essentially, what this means is like it tracks the profit level of all Bitcoin moved in a certain period. Um, it indicates whether sellers are in profit or loss, and blah blah blah. So, are people selling at a loss, or they are selling at some type of profit? So at this point, you see the green. All right, well, price is moving all up. People are taking profit. That's good. And once you start seeing a whole bunch of red, actually, this is like probably the bull market, the bear market. This is when people are selling at a loss, and they're selling at huge losses at the bottom. It's like, all right, well, I'll sell now. Well, buddy, that's the bottom. So as you see, like the trend that I look at is like this goes up to a peak and then it falls off, and then it just moves in this motion. And then you try to find where the peaks and valleys are. So like, okay, well, these lines are peaks. Maybe this is a good time to start buying. So once you start seeing these prices start to see these major spikes in either direction. So I mean, like these are spikes, these are spikes, these are spikes. It's probably a good time. All right, well, something might have happened. So you see like this biggest spike, and then they start smaller spikes. So now this would have been a fantastic time to buy if we're looking at this chart. And then you see another kind of run up, and then hey, you might want to buy here. You had a little dip here for COVID, huge dip. So a lot of people sold at a loss there, but after that, you didn't see anything major like that anymore, and then price just absolutely ran off. You saw it going to the green. Long story short, what I'm saying here is let's look at more recently. So you had, let's zoom in, see if I can do that. So what you really have here is like you see like the price bottomed out in 2023. You had this area. And ever since then, this indicator was green the entire time. And once we got to 2023, that cooled off for a little bit. It never really went super red anymore. That's the big thing. Like now we're at the point where, hey, everyone's kind of selling at profit, even if they're, for the most part, even during these down or sideways periods for all this time, people are still selling at somewhat of a profit. So I expect this green to continue on to the upside and just like move in that direction, but we'll see. So it's that's good to see. I mean, we're seeing less and less red as time goes by, meaning that people are getting profit out of Bitcoin. So that's a good thing. I thought this one was funny. So it's just moving on to some tweets and whatnot. Watcher Guru just in. Standard Chartered Bank analyst apologizes for $120,000 Bitcoin price prediction. Says the target may be too low. I agree. We're almost at 120 right now. We really haven't gotten started yet. So I said originally my target was 250,000 by the end of 2025. Obviously you can keep that, but I really think it's going to be more so around 450 by the end of 2025. Like people just really aren't ready for this parabolic price action. It's been held almost artificially for some time, but I'm looking at all the other metrics, and it is just they're all in favor of Bitcoin going up to much higher levels. None of this is bearish right now at all. None of it. So. We'll see. Like again, like 120 is that's not the moon. Like this, we're going. The moon is nowhere less than 250, but really it could be more. Our favorite guy, Michael Saylor. He is the guy for Bitcoin. He has 58 billion worth of Bitcoin, and him and strategy now. This is a tracker of all the times he buys. So he started buying in late 2020. And then got that whole run up into 2021, and he just never stopped. You see, every green dot here is related to a tweet and every time he buys, he puts out a tweet to let people know because this can all be tracked. He puts out these tweets, and it basically says like, hey, bought here, bought here, bought here, but here, a huge cluster of buying right here. So he's very much so back in profit now. So he took a whole bunch here, a lot of buys here, and let's actually change the scale. So this is, Bitcoin over time. We see it just absolutely exponentially took off in November of last year. It just absolutely took off. So you see like here, the gradual ramp up and then boom. Like, going into this year, he bought a ton. He bought a ton last year. Let's go back here one more time. So that's a normal dot. Let's size it in Bitcoin. So he got a lot of Bitcoin here at these bottom prices. Spent a lot of money here on Bitcoin, maybe smaller buys around here, but here he just went off. Like he went crazy around here. So this is around like again November 2024. This was the biggest spike in his Bitcoin overall profits, or not overall profit, overall holding. So you just saw this absolutely exponential move up, and I think we'll start seeing that with more and more people too. So He definitely dropped the most money in recent. So this is just a conviction play, absolute conviction. So he's got a lot of smart people looking at it. He himself is a smart person, rocket scientist, MIT background, but yeah, it's good times ahead for sure. A lot of good times ahead. Um, and then we'll look at one more thing with strategy. So Saylor is outpacing nearly every name in the S&P this year. Relative performance to the S&P, I mean, that looks like, what's it say, 99% on a weekly basis, but he's just absolutely, this is the chart for strategy. It's just absolutely crushing it. Like, he's absolutely crushing it. I mean, last year he beat every company in the S&P. I want to say besides my favorite one, GameStop, but yeah, the GameStop had a fantastic year last year too, and this week should be pretty fantastic for it as well. So go ahead and watch out, especially today. So I think that's it. I'm done talking about them. So overall, I really don't have too much else to talk about. The big thing is, like, we're just really in this territory. We're in takeoff mode. So you'll start to see a lot more fireworks in the near future, and then probably going into the rest of this year. Maybe we'll have another small stall period, but it's gonna be up. We're gonna be up for a long time. So going into the end of this year, so we will see. We'll see, guys. We'll see how this goes. So other than that, this has been Chris Talks Crypto. Check out your crypto-based resources on christalkscrypto.com. And other than that, y'all, I will see you on the moon. Take care. Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day. Wish your mother a happy Mother's Day and all the good women in your life who are mothers and mother figures. So yeah, y'all, take care. Have a good week.